Do we take from God in order to give, or do we give from God in order to take? It's a question about tithing. How we give shows where do we take from, or where our faith is in. If we believe that we take from God, that everything is God's, and we receive from God with a condition to give, then we will give freely, without condition. If we give, even though we know that everything comes from God, if we give in order to take, that action proves to us that we give from us. And we give with a condition that we may gain something. To gain tithers' rights, to gain favor with people, to gain happiness, self-fulfillment, etc. Or we can just choose not to give at all. We choose to rely on our own knowledge of what is good and right, and we decide with that knowledge that it is not the right time to give because of different circumstances in our lives. Not giving what God has given us makes us break that covenant with God that we've entered with God when we took from Him. See, there's a purpose to God's commandment towards us to give from all of our increase, and that is to test. It's a perpetual test for the rest of our lives, a test of our faith. We can claim, we can say that we believe God's word, and we can believe it, but if we do not have our trust in God, if we do not trust in God, then we will not live according to His word. We will not apply His word in our lives. And here's an example. The disciples believed in God. They believed that Jesus was the Son of God, that He spoke the truth, and yet their trust was not in God, because if their trust would have been in God, then they would have been able to sleep next to Jesus in that boat on the stormy sea. Even when we are going through hard circumstances, we should still be able to tithe from our increase, from the money that we earn, or whatever it is that God has blessed us with. Even when it does not make sense and we are going through a hard time, we still have to be able to follow through, because it is a test of our trust in God. Do we trust in God, or do we trust in the blessing that God gave us? Do we rely on that blessing to provide, and we do our best to stretch it and make it work to provide for our needs, or do we trust in God who provided us with the means to begin with, and know that He can provide more? Know that it is just a test. It is just an opportunity for us to exercise our faith and trust in God. God brings even this in His wisdom in order to perfect faith in us, in our lives, to draw us nearer to Him, to remove that error from our heart that tells us that we should give in order to take. That error that leads us to rely on our own wisdom and knowledge of what is good and evil because we think we know better. The truth tells us that only God knows what is good and what is evil, what is true and what is lie. And only He provides everything. He is the creator, He is the source. And if we do not feed from Him, we will feed from others. we will harm ourselves, or we cause the harm to ourselves by breaking God's commandment, by breaking His laws. The purpose of tithing then is to exercise trust in God. Be faithful in your giving. Trust in the Lord. Trust in Him for wisdom and for knowledge, for direction. May the Lord strengthen us to always do that. Always put our trust in Him. Amen.